It tells me when stuff's live on my channel now. That's good when my phone tells me. Right. So I've definitely got to turn that off. Yeah, so we're live on my channel now. It's good that I get email notifications that tell me when I'm live on my own channel after I click the button to go live on my own channel. So, awesome possum. All right, so this is just going to be like a straight Q&A. I think last time I went way off the rails because I kind of had an agenda and I had stuff to talk about. And so the stuff that I said that I was going to talk about, I didn't really actually talk about. So tonight, I don't really have much of an agenda at all. It's more just an open Q&A. Whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to ask. Hopefully it's about the Gravity Evolve and the Allroad. That would be pretty awesome. So, yeah. So, initially here, we're not talking about the new Roto stuff or the new Storm stuff that got announced yesterday. So, I don't know any more than you guys know right now, so if you want to head on over to the website and check that out. The phase name wasn't really about the phasing and I mean, it kind of was, but it kind of turned into the phase 2, and now it's just the phase line. It's not really a, yeah. So I don't really know much about those yet. You can find out as much as I know. I won't have the ball for another couple weeks. I'll have review videos up for the Roto stuff on the 8th and then the 22nd for the Phase 3. Before then, I won't know anything about anything, so check out the website, look at all the pretty colors. But there are also pretty colors and great scents on the Gravity Evolve and Allroad, which dropped yesterday. Thanks for the support on the videos. They've done really well since I put those out. Hopefully you're enjoying the 1-minute reviews too. I'm going to kind of mix those up a little bit because I know that if I just keep putting them one after another, I know it can kind of clog up the timeline and get a little overboard. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some. I still got more. Josh Shoemaker's going to send some to me. Nick Brown's going to send some to me. The people that have already sent me stuff are going to continue to send me stuff for the next releases. So even if you didn't catch them this time, I'm going to keep showing stuff from other people so that you can get a pretty good idea what's going on. A lot more diversity than just me throwing stuff and Angel throwing stuff, and hopefully find out about a bunch of channels that are putting out really great stuff. And everybody does their own little thing. Everybody kind of has their own little pocket or their own little lane that they're going in. And so I like the diversity of that content. So I think I'm going to do some super reviews where I put, a minute of my video followed by a minute of the Bowling Fixes video, followed by a minute of DH Bowling's video, and Josh and Kenan and whoever else sends me stuff. I'm going to have some really cool stuff going on. So, yes, and also, this is kind of funny because when I decided to do this live stream, number one, I didn't know that. I had a good idea that the new stuff was going to get announced yesterday. I didn't know the new stuff was going to get announced. But again, like I said, we're not going to talk about that stuff. And also, I wrote a video for my going lefty video, my kind of shoulder injury story that I just premiered here before this started. And I shot 800 last night, right-handed, so you have to, and that's, Tawny sent me something. Tawny, if you're watching, that was hilarious. He's like, oh, boo-hoo, I'm Luke Rosdahl, I suck so bad, and then I shot 800, and I'm going lefty, and whatever else, and so, yeah, that actually happened. By the way, I'm drinking Synergy Organic Kombucha. Don't really care it's organic. It's kombucha, and it's guava goddess, and it's delicious. Slightly expensive, but delicious. So yeah, I shot 802 last night with one of my intense fires. It's the original one that I made the video with. I drilled another one with a different layout, and they ended up being quite different, and they're also both really effective in tandem. So I took a pair of intense fires and a phase 2 to league actually the last couple nights. Last night, I had the front 11 and then tugged it about 4.5 boards, plus or minus a half. And I almost left the 4, 7, 9, 10, but the 9, the 4, and the 7 were all wobbling around. The 4 and the 7 went down, the 9 didn't. So I shot 298 the first game. Second game, I go front 3, front 4, something like that. I wrapped a 10 pin, took it off the sheet to the fill ball, which was a 4 pin. So I have 576 going in. And I thought about going to my other fire. My pin-up fire is really good from straight, but it can get a little long and it's just a little long. It doesn't start up quite soon enough when I start moving left, but I thought, you know what, normally, use the fill ball, you try something else, and obviously I'd missed twice, really, in 2 games, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to screw with this, because I think the last time I had 570 something going in, I ended up shooting 190 for a little 770. And I didn't want that to happen again, so I thought, you know what, this has been going well. I'm not going to screw with it. I'm just going to stick with the ball. And of course, I start out the next game going. I went strike, wrap 10, 4 pin, and I got a double, and then I went 9, drive by 9, stone 8, wrap 10, and by this point, it's like, okay, well now I have to strike out for 8-0. I had 840, 850 staring at me in the face, and I had to move in just a little bit, and it changed stuff just enough that I wasn't getting the hits anymore. But I just hit the last 4 a little bit more, made sure I got them there. And if anything was going to happen, I wasn't going to ring a 10. There wasn't going to be a flat 10. It wasn't, not quite going to get there. Now, when I got the second one in the 10th, I did throw it a little bit harder just to make sure that I didn't grab it too much, go through the nose with a big 4 or something. I planned to hit light on the last shot, and I did hit light on the last shot. And even if I'd have left a 10 pin or whatever, 800's 800, whether it's 80, 801, 802, whatever it ended up being, but it was an 802. Still switching hands. There's an interesting story there. Since I'm doing a Q&A, Brian says, I've been watching some other videos on the GE, and to my eyes, I don't see a lot of drive through the deck. Would you say this deflects a little bit more? It doesn't deflect more than others, but that core is a little bit straighter off the deck. There are a couple cores out there that are kind of straighter, and instead of getting to the spot and then continuing through the pins, they get to the spot and then they go straight through the pins. The Halo core comes to mind because all 3 of them do that. They're very directional. You can control exactly which direction you want the Halo core to go and the Shape Lock core to go. So basically that means that if you want to get more up the back of it and have it get to a certain point and go straight, it's always going to roll any of those balls, the Halos or any of the virtuals or the gravities that have that shape lock. They're going to get to the spot, and then they're going to go in the direction of the rotation. They're not going to pick up and continue like a Highroad Pearl or like a phase 2 or something like that. They're going to go in the direction you're rolling them. So if you come up the back of it, yeah, it's going to stop and it's going to go straight through the pins. But it does allow somebody more like Pete Weber, who gets around the side of the ball, to go on ahead and get around the ball without worrying about it stopping and cutting through the deck. It's going to stop, and it's going to go a little bit straighter for him, or it's going to go in the direction he wants it to go. So I wouldn't necessarily say it deflects. It just goes a little bit straighter off the end of the pattern. So Black Widow, congratulations on the 800. Still working on getting my first, close the last few weeks, 3 weeks of 700 series, and that's really what it takes. You just got to keep getting close. And I shot at a tournament in Joplin, Missouri last weekend. I shot 750 something. Could have been another 800. And again, I just got into the last game, and the carry got a little bit rough, and I made a ball change I probably shouldn't have made, but hindsight's 20/20. So, but yeah, you just gotta keep getting there, and eventually I just carried more last night than I normally do. Last night could have just it could have been 850. If I get some of those wrap 10s to go, it could have been 850. It also could have been 720, and just another great night that I didn't quite carry. So it was just a good matchup. So, but I did throw the ball well for my shoulder and everything. But it's not terribly difficult to whack a house shot. I've seen plenty of people that can destroy a house shot and have zero clue what they're doing once they have a little bit of hang outside. So, Mr. Bill Walker with the big donation, $20, and he didn't ask a question. I mean, he asked me plenty of questions. Are the antler fun for the Panda? Well, the Panda's going to definitely appreciate you. She probably needs an antler. We just got rid of... Well, we didn't get rid of. We adopted the foster. She got rid of the foster dog. We had foster dog Bandit for a couple months, and we finally found a great couple to take him, adopt him. So he's found a great home, and he already had plenty of stuff waiting on him, and he was just happy as can be. Panda, meanwhile, is happy to have one less dog around to pester her when she's just laying around doing absolutely nothing. Caribbean Obsidian, Luke, did the release of the Allroad make sense to you? That's to say, did you expect it after several road releases over the past 2 years? I didn't think that we were getting another Highroad. I gently nudge Chad McLean every once in a while. People say, well, what do you want? What's coming next? What's on your wish list? And I send that stuff to Chad all the time. I've tried to be less obnoxious recently. Let me turn that down. Is that any better? Does that sound better? I don't know what was going on there. Yeah, I forgot to turn that down. But I have been kind of nudging him in the direction of a more rocket torrent type of thing, where we have more of like a 254 RG 045 core, something a little bit stronger, not quite as long and strong, because I feel like we've got some pretty good gaps. I feel like we have some really, really strong, great stuff, individual pieces, but I don't know what's going on with the hotline right now. That seems to be a little bit of a mess. And then we jump straight up to super high RG, kind of medium high differentials in the Thunderline, which is all a bunch of long flippy stuff. And then we go straight from that right up to an IQ Tour Emerald, which is very early and smooth. It's very early and smooth rolling. And so I thought, to kind of bridge the gap between the matchups and the stuff in the Thunderline, I was hoping that I guess not really, something a little bit stronger or a little bit lower RG would probably more bridge the gap from the Thunder line to the Master line. But I thought that we were going to get something a little bit lower RG. But with this being the NRG core, or the NRG cover, it still does fill a gap, and at the same time, which very, very kind of smartly allows the rest of the stuff in the Thunder line to exist. It's not replacing anything. It's a different look of what we've seen for the last couple of years, and it allows stuff like they're not going to have to discontinue the Highroad X, or they're not going to have to, because there's zero overlap there. And it's not stepping on the toes of anything in the Master line, so it can kind of live in its own space and let everything else stay in its own space. So, yes, it makes sense to me, actually. It was something, another rocket would have also made sense to me, something like that. But they have plenty of room to play if they're willing to drop something like the NRG cover down that low, which they did with the Highroad Nano. This one's a little bit different shape. The Highroad Nano is shaped more like the Highroad, and the Allroad shapes more like the Highroad X and the Highroad Pearl. And it's not quite as strong as the Highroad Nano, so it's not going to be a direct replacement, but it's familiar. So, Michael, been throwing the Evolve, acts like a Crux Prime, but more angular at the end. Yeah, they're pretty familiar through the first 30, 40 feet And then, yeah, it's quite a bit more. Wife is popping in on the camera here, just right in the corner there. She's dipping in and out. Yeah. Heart 1 minute reviews. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, the Evolve and the Prime look pretty similar for about 30 feet. And then the Prime it actually starts up a little bit earlier for me. It goes a little bit longer and it's a little bit stronger for her. Probably most of that's due to lane shine. I think with both of them out of box at 2000, the Prime is just a little bit earlier and it's rounder at the end of the pattern. The Evolve goes just a little bit longer and it's sharper off the friction. So, should the Gravity Evolve or the Crux Prime complement the Phase 2 on a more aggressive side of a college arsenal? That's really tough to say, actually. I would say if you've got a higher rev rate, the Crux Prime is probably the better way to go because it's not going to be strong on top of back end like the Evolve is. But if you want to control the Crux Prime is pretty continuous. So if you want to control your angles on the back end, if you do stuff with your wrist and want to play with wrist positions, the Gravity Evolve might be a better one to go to for that. Allroad will be on my doorstep Wednesday. Can't wait to try. Mine doesn't see a lot of action because, like I said, it's just not quite soon enough. If I get through it and throw a good shot, it just goes a little bit too long. It takes too long getting around to doing what it's going to do on a fresh house shot because, most of the time I'm using Intense Fire's Phase 2, Idle Pro. I haven't even really gotten down to my Idle Pro for a while. I took my Halo Burn out the other day to the tournament, and I don't get under my Idle Pearl much. So, and when I do, they're dirty, and I'm getting close to lofting with the Highroad T, which is fantastic. But, well, I said getting close to lofting.
Yeah.
So, in practice, when I'm screwing around, yeah, because it doesn't really work well. I mean, it does. I mean, just not lofting is entertaining enough. I don't need to throw in more tricks. Allroad versus Highroad, pretty different stuff. Different shapes. The Highroad's more long and angular. The Allroad is long and really round, really archy. Allroad is couple foot earlier, smoother on the back end, a little bit more continuous, 3-ish boards stronger. So the Highroad's a pretty good complement to the Allroad. Highroad Pearl is a pretty good complement to the Allroad. Highroad X is a pretty good complement. So, picking up my Evolve on Wednesday, went to the Storm demo, through it. Typical demo chaos. Yeah, worked for me. Old guy, low speed, low revs. Yeah, I can actually see that. If you watched Angel's video, she's got slower speed and medium to low to medium revs, and it looks pretty good for her. So yeah, if you just want to keep it in play nice and easy, it's going to hook without going nuts. I think that's the best thing about the Speck cover is it gives you hook without that crazy resin read on friction. So yeah, I can see that. Yep, 800. Never thought that I'd do that again. I was just thinking about the 300 in the first game more than 800, but naturally when you get to 570 after 2, then you start thinking about 800, which is why I think most of the 800s I've had have come when I wasn't expecting, didn't really have a shot at anything. So, yep, $20 antler fund for the Panda. Thanks, Mr. Bill. I noticed that all the balls at the demo look to be pinned up above the bridge. How does that affect the ball motion? What it does is it takes more of actually makes the core a little bit taller because you're taking material with the fingers. I actually have a half ball here that I can kind of demo this with. So if you take this, and here's the pin right at the top of the core, and so if you drill the fingers right here, you're taking more of the mass. You're actually changing the core size. And I actually have a video. I have several videos that I was supposed to get to doing today that I will get to instead tomorrow. I actually have some pretty technical videos. So stay tuned for those if you're interested about this stuff. But when you drill the holes down here, you're taking mass out of the side of the core, which in effect makes it taller. That increases the differential, which the differential is just the difference between the vertical height and the width of the core. And the greater that difference, the higher the differential, the more imbalance there is when the ball rotates, and the more it's going to flare. So basically what it does is it makes them roll prettier. So they get down there and they turn nice and they look good for demos, and they're also pretty simple that way. Another reason why they do that is so that both righties and lefties can throw the ball. They generally put the pin right on top of the bridge, and so it's the same layout basically whether you're right-handed or left-handed. So that works out really well. So generally, putting that in plain English, it makes the ball a little flippier down lane at the back end. Yep. Got my questions answered on Patreon. Insert Patreon plug here. Yes, I have a Patreon. Hopefully soon it will be a website, because Patreon's not the greatest platform, but it does get you into the Discord channel, which is where all the fun happens. Most of the time I put up, whenever I write for a video, I will go on ahead and put them up as articles on Patreon. So I'll put the script on Patreon. So a lot of this technical stuff that I'm going to be making videos for that are going to release over the next week or two, I've already had scripts up on Patreon for people to read for a couple weeks. And the biggest thing is getting into Discord, where we have our private chat server, which if anybody's ever been on a public chat server, like a Reddit or Ball Reviews or something like that, anybody can sign up, anybody control, and so you ask for $5 a month, and it filters out a lot of the nonsense, and you get the people that really care and really want to be there. So it's a nice little community we have. And again, like I said on the last stream, if you sign up for Patreon, they only charge your card once a month. And so if you sign up right now, it's the 26th, you've got until the first of the month, or you can... No, Siri, I'm not trying to talk to you. Can't help me with anything. So you can sign up, and as long as you can sign up, you can take a look, you can see what it's like, you can check it out. And if it's not your thing, then you can go on ahead and cancel, and you've gotten a free preview. It won't charge your card, but like I said, if you haven't canceled by the first of the month, it'll charge your card. Or if you want to wait until after I think it's the 5th of the month when they stop charging. So if you wait from the 5th, you have a whole 2-3 weeks to try it out with zero risk, and at worst it costs you $5. So very cool. Let's see. Yep. And what should I do on a house that has a long league house shot on lanes that go downhill, and basically only the gutters hook and the fronts have been burned, so I don't get a lot of motion with dull? Well, you're not going to get a lot of motion with dull, because dull is the opposite of motion. So especially with the fronts burned up. So yeah, you're not gonna. Those are a whole bunch of things that don't really go together. So, yeah, phase 3. Aaron's got the answer about that. My wife. Oh, there's a bandit update. We might have to put this on the stream. So basically, yeah, if only the gutters hook and the fronts have been burned, you're gonna get turn and burn with dull stuff. That's the opposite of what you should do. You want stuff that's going to get through that burn. Dull stuff's just going to make it earlier and pukier. So oh crap. Okay. I have the Gravity Evolve already and like it way more than my Crux Prime. Shot 614 with a league average of 175. Well, that's good. That's almost 100 pins over your average. So, yeah, and it really depends. The Crux Prime and Gravity Evolve are pretty different. So if you had a Crux Prime and you're worried about it, or you're in the crowd that says, that has one ball and all of a sudden the new cover sucks because one ball didn't match up to you. The Gravity Evolve is totally different, and that's really no guarantee. If you like the Crux Prime, that's not really a guarantee the other direction that you're going to like the Gravity Evolve. So they're pretty different. So there's lots of people that favor the Prime over the Evolve. Other way around, there's lots of people that like both of them. So they're pretty different balls though. So if you're in the crowd that didn't like my Prime, you're probably gonna like the Evolve. What are the differences of the lines? Two blue balls, Idle Pro and Allroad. Those are really, really different balls. Idle Pro's an almost polished solid with a really low RG and a pretty high differential. So it's a chuggy, go get 'em, hook off the planet on the at the end of the lane type of ball. Allroad has a much weaker core. It's got a lot higher RG. It almost has the same differential, a few points lower. So it's built for a whole bunch of length and back end. So pretty different balls. You could fit at least one ball in between the Idle Pro and the Allroad, it being the IQ Emerald. Maybe the IQ Tour fits in there too. The Allroad and the IQ Tour kind of shape the same. They just do it in different places. The Allroad goes several feet longer before it does what it does, but they're pretty similar shapes. Someone like me, I'm excited for the Evolve for college stuff. But for higher revs, I'd lean Crux Prime or something symmetric. Yep. You mentioned the Intense Fire. How do you feel about the regular Intense? We call it the urinal cube scent ball. Some of those urinal cakes smell fantastic, though. I mean, yeah, it's the first thing that you think of when you smell it is urinal cake, but some of them are pretty great. I did go into a bathroom in Joplin the other day, and I've got this picture. I can't share it on really anything, but they had a novelty machine, and all I could think of was the scene in Kingpin where he's going, "Yeah, do you need supplies for the novelty machine in the men's room?" We don't have a novelty machine in the men's room anymore. You call yourself a bowling alley? What are you after? The Intense?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Beer Frame Anthony, or Andrew, as most people know him, it's in the back left corner. It's Moroccan Mint. Remember the Moroccan Mint? And Anthony said it smelled like something that I can't say on stream either. So, man. Yeah, the Intense, and here's a fun fact, is that not all balls come with the scents that they're supposed to come with. Every once in a while they run out of scents, and that's actually really fun for me when I get duplicates of balls that I've already had. I really wanted one of the Cherry Phase 2s because those smelled great. My last Intense Fire, it should have smelled like cinnamon. It came smelling like a Sonic. My latest IQ Tour also smells like a Sonic, which isn't my most favorite scent. But the one Intense Fire is cinnamon that I got the first one, and my Phase 2 is, I think I also had something else that was the Red Velvet. I think both of mine, I got another Phase 2 down there. It smells like Red Velvet. But yeah, it's really a lot of fun when I get a new ball and it smells like something that it's not supposed to smell like. I kind of feel like that's a special edition. Yeah, the Highroads still do something fruity with them. So even if they are a little bit off, they're generally pretty close.
I don't know what's wrong with this. I don't get it. I like all mint though.
But yeah, the Intense Fire smells like the little candies that you get, like the little pebble looking things that you get. No, other way.
Why does it matter?
Yes, it does matter. You better fix those flaps. That was not meant to do that. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep tonight until you fix those flaps. She crossed them both, and she put the wrong flaps down first when she put that ball back in the box. I just want everybody to know this. I'm going to start twitching here in a minute. I'm pretty sure that there's a hive that's going to show up somewhere.
Shut up, Sheldon.
Yeah. The regular Intense, and that's the funny thing about R3S Hybrid and Pearl, is the Pearl acts more like a hybrid and the hybrid acts more like a Pearl, so that's how I treat them. So the Intense Fires they go pretty long, they're really flippy, And I just like both of them because I can saw on them. They're continuous. They're predictable. They rev up well. I can use them from, again, I've got the pin up that plays really well from straight. The pin down one plays a lot better from deep. And so I'm really glad I brought them back out. I know that probably should be throwing the new things, but doing well in tournaments and shooting honor scores, I think, is also part of showing off the brand. So, but I did like the regular intense. I've actually got another one down low, and I'm probably going to have to find another intense fire somewhere. I did get.
You don't have another intense.
Huh?
You don't have the.
Well, yeah, we have another intense. Whatever. I got it. I liked it well enough to find another one or order it before it got discontinued. Angel has claimed it as her own, but I did get an original phase. I found one of those on Facebook the other day, and the first batch, so the kind of brighter pastel looking colors with the phasing in it, not the darker, more traditional pearlish looking one. I found one of the OG phases, and that was exciting. What are Angel's speed, rev rate? Her speed's 14.5 to 15 off of her hand. Normally gets down to about 12.5, 13 at the deck. Her rev rate's about 325-ish, maybe up to 350. How do you feel about a Highroad X with a Speck cover? So basically a Highroad with a Speck cover. Not entirely sure that would work out. There were several people that have suggested that, and I'm sure Chad's tested it. I haven't asked him about it because they're probably not going to drop such a new cover down to that low of a price point at any time in the near future. Plus, when you've got they've done it with the NRG, so they've taken a long and flippy core and they've put a really early and smooth cover on it, and it's looked pretty good a couple times. I think a Speck Highroad would look pretty good. Excuse me, but. Brad Miller is throwing a polished pinup Allroad on pattern 3 at the U.S. Open. We'll see how that works out. I can't remember what pattern 3 is. If I typically bowl only on house shots, what would be the best ball up from the phase 2? Just starting a smaller arsenal, trying not to get something too similar. Physics. Physics would definitely be a great ball up from a phase 2 because they're really, really good complements, and we've had some internal discussion about the physics basically being an asymmetric phase 2. So if you like the look, it's still the asym is gonna create something pretty different, and it's a hybrid cover. It's a different cover formula. So there's enough differences for them to both work out in the same arsenal and have something familiar to each other, but still different enough to where they're going to be effective so that you're not going to have a bunch of overlap. How do you feel about the Evolve compared... Crap, every time I go to scroll down. How do you feel about the Evolve compared to the original Virtual Gravity? The original I had for a long time, I loved it, always smooth and consistent when moving over boards. Yeah, the Evolve, if you see my review video, the Evolve is really, really similar to the Virtual Gravity. It's pretty well right between the original, which had R2X solid on it, and the Virtual Gravity Nano. I think it's more shape than the Virtual Gravity Nano, not quite as much as the Virtual Gravity, because the Gravity had, or the original Virtual had a weaker cover on it, and so it went down a little bit further and back ended a little bit more. But the Evolve is really, really close to the original Virtual Gravity. So if you like the Virtual Gravity, you're going to like this one. I can pretty well guarantee that. I try not to be too over the top when talking about stuff like that, because sometimes it's a crapshoot. I don't know what you bowl like. I don't know what your conditions are. Things have changed since the original Virtual Gravity came out. But just looking at it from a shape perspective, from a familiarity thing, it rolls a lot like it's very recognizable. It definitely is a Virtual Gravity-esque ball motion. I just got the Gravity Evolve and have the Pro Motion. I'm not scoring well with user ball. How did you score great out of the box with Speck? How many games does cover need to know if it will work? Most of the time what people do with Speck is they try to play too much angle with whichever ball that they're using. Whether it's the Pro Motion, the Crux Prime, Gravity Evolve, everybody's normally about 3 to 4 boards further left than they should be with these balls because the cover's a little bit slower. I actually really like the covers when they shine up. So just give it a chance to shine. Doesn't matter how shiny it gets. They all look better with lane shine on them. Some guys have just polished them up straight out of the box, which is really weird because a lot of people, a lot of the staffers especially, don't like factory shine on the balls that come out shiny. So they'll automatically, before they even drill it, throw it, whatever, they'll take it to 3,000, 4,000, whatever. They'll just break that shine and get rid of it. There's actually a lot of people that I know that either let the ball lane shine and then leave it there, or just shine Speck right up, because the Pro Motion is 100% a way better ball when it's got some shine on it. It's pretty good sanded, but man, it's great when you get some shine on it. It's just absolutely amazing, and all the Evolves I've seen have looked quite a bit better with lane shine on them. And even in my video, I filmed it gauge first, and just right out of the box, it was pretty turd-like. It didn't look great, but having my history with Speck, I'm like, well, as soon as it shines up, it's going to look great. And I get over to Westridge and had some more time out with it, got some lane shine on it, and it looked night and day different at Westridge than it looked at Gauge Center. So a little bit of lane shine on those covers and not playing quite as deep as you would with other stuff. So straighter angles, shine. Give that a shot. Have you played the Easy Street pattern before? We have that in our league. How would the Evolve work on that pattern? It really depends on... it really depends more on the surface than the pattern, and I think this is one thing that that people don't put enough stock in is the lane surface itself, because I keep telling people that despite how different balls look at my two test houses, Westridge and Gage Bowl, they have the same oil pattern on them. And ball reaction looks totally different because they've got different lane surfaces. And so, yeah, I've bowled on that pattern before, but I can't really tell you exactly what it's going to do. It should be fine. It depends on what you do with the ball. If you just kind of have a nice down and in. Generally, Speck balls blend out the wet-dry on super cliffed house shots really, really well. And so if you just kind of walk the ball in, if you're just a second arrow bowler that kind of puts it straight down, it's probably going to look really fantastic because it's not going to bounce off the dry. It's not going to take off if you miss just a little bit left. And so the Speck balls are really good for the traditional second arrow type bowlers that want hook without having that big resin move off of friction. So it should be okay. Let's see. How does the Evolve compare to the Astrophysics? Crazy different balls. Maybe not crazy different. The Astrophysics is more continuous off the end of the pattern. They both do get down the lane pretty easy. Even the Evolve with the surface on it still gets down the lane pretty easy. And they have a pretty good defined motion off the end of the pattern. But the Evolve is probably an easy arrow stronger than the Astrophysics. And one's a Pearl, one's a solid, completely different cover formulas. So they're pretty different balls. You could put a Physics and probably a Halo Pearl between the Gravity Evolve and the Astrophysics. So they're pretty different balls. They complement each other, but there's still a couple other steps down that you can take. Either a couple steps down or a couple steps up. So they're pretty different. So if you have the Astrophysics and are wondering about it, don't worry about it. They fit in the same bag just fine. Those that weren't here earlier, Synergy, Kombucha, Guava Goddess. It's pink. James Kniffen dropping in to say howdy, listening while I drive back home. Can you comment on diff between the Pro Motion and the Idol Pro? I'm assuming you mean difference and not differential. The Pro Motion and the Idol Pro are really great 1-2 punches for me. There for a while I was carrying the Pro Motion, the Idol Pro, and the Idol Pearl all on my bag. The Pro Motion went out in favor of the Phase 2 because the Phase 2 is just better on a house shot. The Pro Motion's a little bit too round, a little bit too slow down lane most of the time. It's really great when there's when stuff gets wet, dry, or gets tricky. That'll be the first ball out of the bag. If I need a little bit more control. The Phase 2 gives me a little bit more dynamic motion, which I need a little bit more on a house shot. But the Pro Motion and the Idol Pro have similar shapes, The Idle Pro is more boomy down lane. The Pro Motion is a little bit earlier and a little smoother. There's the Measles. Hi, baby. Measles. Measles, measles.
She's sliding on my
Yeah, this is rescue dog number 1. We're keeping her, though. You the missiles. You're on TV. She doesn't like being held. She has too much boing to be held. She likes boinging. You can't even hardly see her. Uh-huh. You don't photograph well.
No, that black face.
She's got a really dark face. The camera doesn't know what to do with it, but she's got big ears.
She's got some brown
So
spots,
yeah,
but
you,
it's mostly black hair.
yeah. So the Pro Motion and the Idle Pro are great for when you want the same, when you want shape complements. They hook about the same amount, but they shape different. The Pro Motion's earlier and quite a bit smoother. Idle Pro goes longer and it's boomier, but they cover virtually the same amount of boards for me anyway. So you got that. What are your suggestions for bowling on very dry wood lanes, equipment hand position? Very dry wood lanes are going to be tough because they don't really design stuff for wood lanes anymore because it's less than 5% of what's still out there. And especially if they're really dry, wood lanes are already higher friction than synthetics because they're softer. So equipment, you're looking at tropical surge. You're looking like Pearl Hybrid Tropical Surge. The Hybrid Tropical Surge is basically a ride, and the Pearls are basically joy rides. I thought that the ride was one of the best true light oil balls ever made ever, because it reacted well without being too crazy. Like a lot of dry lane balls are still pretty crazy on actual dry lanes. They're more medium to light balls. The ride was a true light ball that would actually perform really well. So I'd recommend something like a Hybrid Tropical Surge. Hand position, that's going to be a little bit different. So you're just going to have to do whatever you have to do to get it to shape through the pins the right way. Most of the time, to help the ball get down the lane, if you want it to get down the lane, you're going to want to get around the side of it more. The more up the back of it you get, the earlier it rolls, but the smoother it is off the end of the pattern. If you get around the side of the ball, it's going to get down there easier, but it's also going to pop harder down lane. Make them smell like bacon. Yeah. Bacon would be weird. I'm not sure how and synthetic bacon would be, I don't know about that. Thoughts on polishing the Gravity Evolve? Yes. Yeah, I just was talking about the Gravity Evolve, and the best thing to do with that Speck cover is let it shine up. All 3 of the Speck balls look great shiny. My Pro Motion smells like soap. It smells like a... Okay, where'd that go again? Balls. My Pro Motion smells like soap. Yeah, I actually think it smells like Brute or something, like a men's cologne. I think that's what it smells like. So,
Yummy.
Yeah, Aaron is also right. The Speck cover chemistry, the polish doesn't change the ball. It doesn't change the shape much, so it's still going to be about the same shape. It's just going to be either earlier or longer down the lane, depending on. Tamer Bowling did a really good surface comparison video on the Crux Prime, and what he found out is the overall hook or the shape of the ball didn't really change. It just controlled how early or how late the ball started to hook, but it didn't really change the amount of hook very much, and it didn't change the shape very much. Saw a video on Storm's site, and the person said they have a library of scents, including bacon. Yeah, I'm sure that they've got a bunch of stuff. I don't know how vegan or how bacon would go over with vegans, but
Coffee, or people who don't drink coffee like the smell of coffee. So just because you don't,
boy, yeah,
doesn't mean-
an espresso scented ball would be awesome.
I think you'd have to make a shirt that says "Don't lick my balls."
Yeah, I'm not sure we can say that on YouTube. You've seen the Highroad SE Hawaii Punch. The Highroad SE is either going to be a Highroad or a Highroad Pearl. I don't know which one it is, but they make all kinds of overseas variants of the Highroad and the Highroad Pearl with different with different colors, slightly different names, different scents. whatever else. So I don't know whether it is which one it is, but it's either the Highroad or the Highroad Pearl. It's just a little bit different marketing. So, is there a worse smelling ball than the Lock? No, the Lock kind of smells like the Sonic. I'm not a big fan of that. So, yes, there was actually. It's called the Crossroad. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was caramel and it was strong. So, how's the Allroad compared to the IQ Tour Solid? I actually mentioned that about 10 minutes ago, but yeah, that's a good comparison because the Allroad and the IQ Tour Solid shape really, really similar. It's just the Allroad goes an extra 3 or 4 feet and hooks maybe a board or two less. They do the same thing shape-wise, but if the IQ is a little too early and not quite enough down lane, that's where you go to the Allroad to get you down the lane a little bit longer and get the shape closer to the pins where you need it. So really good shape complements. What do you think about the Intense Fire? It's on sale. Thinking about getting it? Oh yeah. Also, my teammate has a Sherlock he wanted me to sell. What can you tell me about it? The Sherlock was the biggest hooking ball that either Storm or Roto Grip made until the Crux Prime came out. But the Sherlock has a lot more visible shape, a lot more visible hook. So it's going to look like it's hooking more than the Prime, even though the Prime is technically stronger. I love the Intense Fire. It's kind of polarizing. I think a lot of people didn't really understand the ball. It was over-under for people. But I like it because I can hit it and float it, and it gets down the lane easy, and then it's got a big back-end motion. So some people, it'd back in pretty hard, and then they'd move left, and then they wouldn't quite do the right things to get it to shape. They'd just kind of throw it right in the middle of the... They'd throw it right in the middle of the back end, and it'd kind of wiggle and finish weak, and then, oh, this ball's over-under. Well, no, you can't just move left into more oil and more angle and fling something right in the middle of the back end and expect it to magically stop and flip over. That's not really how it works. But yeah, the Sherlock was everybody the vast majority of people like the Sherlock. So I think you're going to be safe with either of them. Some people would probably tell you different things on the Intense Fire, but most people like the Sherlock. So yeah, lane surface is crazy. That tournament in Joplin that we bowled at, it was a two-sided center that was kind of a bi-level type thing. And the lanes upstairs played different from the lanes upstairs and more different from the lanes downstairs. We had the same pattern put down. We bowled 2 team sets and a doubles and singles set, and every single set was wildly different. Wildly different. And I made the mistake.
The downstairs is nearly 5 feet.
Yeah. So
it's not just like a 2-foot thing. It's a
yeah, so it's kind of, it was an interesting center, but I did really well in the first team set because they were a little bit wetter, and most of the other guys struggled a little bit. And then the double and singles pair, which was just 4 or 5 pairs down, played crazy different. An arrow and a half drier to start off with, and then they just got dirty. And then we got downstairs, and it was kind of in between the 2 previous ones, oil-wise, but the heads were dry. So as soon as you put the ball down, it'd jump a couple boards. And so I had to end up moving all the way left in the middle of game 2 as soon as I finally chased it that far and realized that the heads were just that gone for some reason. And I had to get that far and actually loft it just a little bit to just get it through the fronts. So it was crazy, crazy different, even in the same house. What current ball would fit somewhere between the Highroad and the Timeless? IQ Emerald, definitely. Oh, crap. Okay, there we go. Every time I have some comments waiting for me, I haven't scrolled far enough down. I go to scroll a little bit, and it takes me all the way to the bottom, and so then I lose my place. And Idle Pro compared to the Allroad, pretty different. You can fit a couple balls in between there. You can fit an IQ Tour and an IQ Emerald in between the Idle Pro and the Allroad. They both have that really round, archy shape off the back of the pattern. The Allroad's a little bit slower. The Idle Pro's earlier, but it's really boomy down lane. The Allroad's pretty smooth. Idle Pro's 3 to 4 boards stronger than the Allroad and sharper on the back end, actually, for me. Any chance Storm remaking the Sunstorm? Probably not. I think that's old enough and the marketing's not really current enough to where you'd release a Sunstorm and it just doesn't really fit the day and age. So it'd be cool, but it doesn't quite. It has a retro but not quite retro feel to it. So I don't know that. Now, with Brunswick going back and doing the vintage thing, they're kind of a vintage company anyway. And so when they go back and do stuff like that, it's kind of cool. Storm's got a pretty different marketing angle now than what they had initially. So probably wouldn't really work out. And that's the other thing that I could dig into just a little bit. Straight remakes, while it's a nice tribute to the past, and I had this conversation with him, which I'm pretty happy about the Gravity Evolve, because it's a twist using new technology on something that was popular in the past. When you just do a straight remake of something, it's cool and it's a tribute and everything, but it's kind of like admitting that, well, we haven't made anything better since this came out, so here's this ball as it was back 20 years ago. And that just kind of shows that, well, there really hasn't been a whole lot of progress, or technology really hasn't gone that far or something. So I had the discussion with him to, and I'm not trying to take any credit here. I'm just saying that we had a discussion about this, and those were kind of my comments. It's just kind of like admitting that you haven't made anything better, but it would be really cool to take new technology and remake older balls, kind of pay tribute to them, but do it with new technology. Like the one that I really like to see redone is the X Factor, because that was the original Rad core. We're still using Rad X and Rad E and Rad 4 and whatever else. We're still using the same basic. Man, that thing kicked into overdrive. But we're still using that idea or that technology in bowling balls now, and so it would be really cool to use an updated Rad core and put one of the new, because I think it had AccuTread Mystic Pearl, which was the only ball that AccuTread Mystic Pearl was on, but it kind of acts like R2X. So it was, the X Factor was basically an asymmetric Marvel Pearl, so it actually acted a lot like the astrophysics, now that I think about it. So the X Factor was basically an astrophysics, and I think that'd be really cool to take a Rad core and put a newer cover stock on it and pay tribute to it with newer stuff, rather than just a straight re-release and going like, well, you know. So that's the long-winded rant on that. I've got a Hustle HSB. I noticed you didn't have a review for it. Is this because it's similar to the Hustle HYB? Yeah, it's pretty well the same ball. I don't have a whole lot of use for Hustles, and they don't. Whenever they come out with a ball, they ship me some to make. They ship me one. If a ball comes out, they'll just automatically ship me one to make the video with. But on that low of a line, they don't send me stuff that's that low, and if I don't have any use for it, it's really hard for me to pony up and pay for it just to make a review video, just to put it back in the box, because I'm not going to use it. So stuff like the Hustles, unless it's like a Hustle ink or something, I did take a flyer on the ink because it looks so good, and it is so good. So yeah.
Unless it would be something I would use, then you might use one for me.
Yeah, if it's something that she's gonna get, then I could get it and make her video with it. You mentioned earlier that Speck mutes conditions. When you start competitive play with a Speck cover, what do you look for to let you know when it's time to use different equipment? That's really tough. When I start with a Speck cover, it's really hard to get off of that cover, because the traditional resin stuff is going to react less to the oil and more to the friction. And when you're using something with Speck on it, you don't know exactly where those lines are at. You can kind of tell where the dry is at. You can kind of tell where the oil's at. You can tell where the dry is at. You can tell where the wet's at. But you can't tell how strong either of them are. And so when you go from a Speck cover to something else, it's different than going from one traditional resin to another traditional resin. It's almost kind of like going from urethane to resin. When you're using urethane, it's a pretty big jump going to resin. It's kind of like, well, I'm going to throw one out there and we're just going to see what happens and I'll adjust from there. But it's usually a couple frame process to go from Speck to resin as it is going from urethane to resin. It's the same idea behind the covers. So what I normally look for is if I'm just not getting enough shape down lane, which is mainly the problem. The ProMotion's the Speck cover I use the most. The other ones are a little too strong. The Evolve is a little too strong. It's a little too straight off the end of the pattern. I like using both that and the Crux Prime. I just don't normally have enough oil. The ProMotion is just a little bit too slow down lane on house conditions. It's pretty easy to change balls on house conditions because I always know that I can move a couple boards left, and I know that they're going to hook on the back end. On tougher conditions, it's definitely tougher changing balls, but at the same time, most of the time what happens is I'll be throwing the ProMotion, and I'll think, I need a little bit more pop, or I need a little bit more of this, and then I take out a resin ball, and I'm like, holy crap, these lanes are trashed. And then I just go right back to the ProMotion after failing miserably for 4 or 5 frames. So most of the time, if I start with a Speck ball, I keep with the Speck ball and just make it work. Can you be my friend? I might be able to be your neighbor. That's Mr. Rogers' thing. So I can be anybody's friend online. You might be a little too far away for... But, yeah. You can at least comment on my videos, and I will answer because I answer everybody.
As long as you see it. Or...
Yeah, as long as YouTube tells me that I have a comment, I'll answer it. Can you comment?
Ask again.
Yeah. Can you comment on IQ Tour Emerald versus the Allroad? They're pretty round. They're pretty good complements, I would say. The Emerald is earlier and rollier. The Allroad is longer and still pretty rolly. They have really similar shapes down lane, but the Emerald starts up several feet sooner. The Emerald's a pretty true Pearl version of the IQ Tour, and the Allroad shape's pretty similar. It just goes longer down the lane and does the shape closer to the pins. So the IQ Emerald could either be a step up or a step down from the Allroad based on what you're playing on.
Yeah, I carry both.
Actually. So yeah, you could either, depending on what the lanes are doing, they could be either a ball down or a ball up from each other, which is kind of weird to think about, but
I could do those two in a poly and I'd be done.
went bowling the other day just to see how I do, how easy it would be to improve. I used a house ball, and from what I concluded, it would be impossible to bowl with for proper with it. Yeah, probably. I mean, that's one of the things is that the craftsman or the carpenter is only good as his tools. You're only as good as your equipment, and that's not to say that the equipment does all the work naturally, but if you're trying to install a screw with a hammer, it doesn't go so well. So you can be the best carpenter in the world, and he's going to have trouble. He's just not going to be able to... It's going to be really interesting putting a screw in properly with a hammer, aside from just beating it in there. So...
When you get further down, this guy lives in New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. Oh, man. He lives in Lord of the Rings country. That reminds me of the Honest Trailers. Come with us as we take an epic tour of New Zealand. Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I don't do that well.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Do I need to buy a ball to bowl well? It definitely helps. Yeah, definitely proper form. Yeah, you're going to need to get something. You don't need to go out and spend a couple $100. Go get yourself a cheaper pair of shoes. Go get yourself an entry-level ball like a Hustle. That'll give you enough to work with without spending a whole bunch of money so that you can figure out whether it's something that you want to keep doing or not. I wouldn't invest a ton of money into it. Get you something simple like a Hustle. It'll help you get the idea. It'll help you develop. And then when you get into it enough that you figure out that you need more stuff, then you can go off and do that. So Oh, Bork. Is it? Oh, yeah, we still got another hour.
I was just putting it in there.
Oh. Intense Fire, best ball Storm made. Not quite, but it's strong contender for top 5. Now that I've brought him back out, and this is the funny thing, because last year on my almost 240 average campaign, I started the first 2 or 3 weeks with it and shot 770, 760, 740 or something like that, and then something new came out. I think the Sonic came out, and then Crux Prime, Halo Pearl, and I just kind of forgot about the fires. But yeah, they're outstanding. You were saying that the intense fire was over and under for people that had that same problem with the Highroad X. The funny thing about the Highroad X, and I think it's a similar look on the lane. They're both so dynamic and strong down lane. I think the reason the intense fire works better is because it's asymmetric, and so that helps it be a little bit more consistent off the spot. The Highroad X is so dynamic down lane that if you're playing too straight, it's going to get down and go crazy, and if you're a little bit too left, it's not going to quite make the corner. That ball rolled so well, but I never had a situation where it was more effective than something else that I had in the bag. It's one of those always the bridesmaid, never the bride type things, or always second place, which I know a bunch about. But yeah, it just wasn't quite good enough. Which is really sad because it rolls really well. I really like just visually the way that it rolls, and I'll go back and watch my review video for it and think, man, that really did roll outstanding. I just never was able to use it. Now I think I'm actually going to take Angel's old one and drill it up lefty because I think it's going to be phenomenal for me on the left side of the lane. There's more friction to work with. I can go a little bit, I can play more angle more firmly with it. And so I think it's going to be really good on the left side, actually. Live in New Zealand. Lord of the Rings. It's funny you mentioned the vegans not liking bacon scent. I remember when the agent came out and originally it was scented orange, but complaints came saying it was Agent Orange. Interesting. Okay. Yep. Bowling balls, as long as you clean them, wipe them off, they should be good for a while. What would go between a matchup and a Highroad X?
And temperature, if he's in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Leave him outside.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But
Don't leave him in your trunk.
and that's the thing that I was talking about earlier, is there's just nothing between the matchups and the high roads. Like literally nothing. A Hustle Inc. maybe. You'd have to go to the Roto lineup to find anything between those two because the matchups are not. I don't think that they're that great. I don't like Original Reactor though. I like Original Reactor Solid. I think that's phenomenal. Reactor Pearl, Reactor Hybrid, not so great unless they're on, like the Reactor Hybrid on the Ride or the Tropical Surge is good, but it just, I haven't liked any of the matchups outside of the matches. I've liked the matches, I haven't liked any of the matchups. Oh man. Top 5 Storm Balls or 5-ball Arsenal. I do have a new Essentials Collection video that I'm making tomorrow. I don't know when it'll be out, but I am filming for it tomorrow. I have thumbnail done already. I have it all written up, and I'm not going to tell you what those 3 balls are yet because it's a secret. Top 5 Storm Balls. I think I'm going to do, I've been talking with the guys from the Bowling Fix about doing kind of like they're going to do a top 5, I'm going to do a top 5, and then we'll compare, and then we'll do some other stuff. I actually need to get back to them about that because that could be fun. I think we're going to do like a top 5. I was going to suggest doing a top 5 of this year. So just top 5 balls out of both Storm, Storm or Roto combined. What are the best 5 balls that we had this year? Top 5 Storm Balls. That's actually, the X Factor is definitely number 1. Because I had 1,000 games on that ball, and it was absolutely amazing. It was the ball that I started, the Shock Trauma was the ball that I started getting really good with, but the X Factor was definitely another big step in the right direction. I've got to think about all the ones, because I had Oh, Bork. Let me see. I'll look at some of that stuff. The IQs are okay. They have a time and a place. I'm looking at all the stuff that I have down here. The intense fire's got to be in my top 5. It really does. As much as I throw, phase 2 is number 2, definitely. Those are so X Factor phase 2 are definite yups. I did a top 10 video last year before, or something like that, where I listed some older ones. I also did just a top 10 period. Top 5 storm balls, definitely X Factor, definitely phase 2. It'd probably be some older stuff. I really like the Prodigy. I didn't have it for very long, didn't throw it for very long, but that one's always one that stands out. I really like the El Nino Gold. I liked a lot of the El Ninos. I liked a lot of the Traumas. The Trauma was my first storm ball, period, and I shot my first 700 with it. So that might be on the list. We could go on ahead and put that at 3. The El Nino 2000 I shot my first 300 with. Lots of fond memories with the depth charge. I probably have to give the depth charge number 4, actually.
Do you not remember doing this at New Year's? This was your New Year's live stream last year.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was, and I'm sure that there's some that I'm forgetting right now. The IQ Tour Nano, really good. Really enjoy that. I've had, let me see, I'm going to be on IQ Tour number 6. I've had 5 Highroads. We're probably just going ahead and have to call the Highroad number 5. I've had several of those, and the IQ and the Highroads react well for me, both hands. So unless I'm leaving something out, we're going to go... I like the Intense Fire too much. That's got to be number 5. So we're going to go X Factor, phase 2, Trauma, whatever ball I mentioned after that, and then the Intense Fire. Yeah, so sweet. And 5-ball Arsenal is a little tough. I would probably say right now, if you go on the top end, probably go Halo on the top end right now. Halo Fizz, well, that's gonna be too in a 5-ball Arsenal. That's too much. Almost go Physics, Astrophysics to get a shiny and Sanded ASIM, and then drop down, go phase 2, Idle Pearl, Highroad, Hustle Link, something like that. Highroad or Hustle Link, probably. So, yeah. Idle Pro or Allroad for a ball when the IQ Tour is too snappy and the pro motion isn't finishing. Actually, don't go Idle Pro, definitely. I would go Allroad. If the IQ Tour is too snappy and the pro motion isn't finishing, Allroad will get the job done. The Idle Pro is way more snappy than both the IQ than any of those 3. So if the IQ Tour is too snappy, the Idle Pro is definitely going to be too snappy. The Allroad would fit there because it's got the IQ Tour type shape, but they've all got kind of that same similar finish, which is kind of weird if the IQ Tour is too snappy and the promotion isn't finishing. That doesn't quite add up, but I would say Allroad on that front. Thanks for the Gravity Evolved, Luke. Yup. Yes, we are going to be stopping at 9, but I didn't have an agenda to talk about. I do have a few things to talk about, so let me finish answering the questions. And now that I've actually talked about questions and stuff first, now I can get to my agenda. I always have an agenda. What do you... oh, crap. What do you think of the new terrain oil? As soon as I started using it, I feel it's good because it doesn't transition too much, but carry down sucks. Just let me know. I haven't actually bowled on terrain. I know that I can't stand fire. Fire is the bane of the earth. I hate fire. It can go to where fire comes from. I love ice. I think terrain is supposed to be somewhere in between fire and ice. ice carries down pretty bad, but it holds up in the fronts better. So I can deal with wet, with more wet. I can't deal with drier, and fire just burns up too quick. I hate it. Left across for yeah, yeah. The crossroads is awful. Talking to my mechanic about the terrain oil, carry doesn't really think, at least after leak. A lot of the oil's left on the lane, not really pushed down. It just doesn't spin out, it just mounds up. I can see that. It's probably got a higher viscosity. That stuff will sit around better if it's a little thicker. Would either of these balls hook out of the building given extreme circumstances? Go back up. Did you? Which one did you ask about? Oh, would either one? Oh, yeah, gravity of all road. Hook out of the building given extreme. Well, yeah. Yeah, if you're on dry lanes, the gravity evolve's definitely not going to handle that well. And the all-road is going to handle it better, but it's still pretty poppy. Hey, Luke. Hey, Jeff. Thanks for all your great videos and the info. Yep, I've got some really, really good videos. I mean, most of the stuff that I put up is ball videos and reaction stuff and kind of glorified advertisement. But at the same time, I've got some really solid technical videos coming out. I did a dual angle light video several years ago, which you might remember if you've seen that. So, oh crap, I saw something on my phone and I got distracted. Oh, my tech videos. I'm going to do a VLS, or vector layout system, the Storm pin buffer layout system, which is better than dual angle. I'm not just saying because it's a Storm thing. I would say if it was an Ebonite thing. So it's a better system because the vector layout system, or VLS, describes the core position inside the ball instead of just trying to get to a set of finalized numbers. The dual angle system is a lot more mathematic, but it doesn't really pay too much attention. It does get you there via numbers and explains it different, but the Storm is a whole lot easier to conceptualize. But it's very technical. There's a lot of information there, and so I made a VLS light video, which I'm filming for tomorrow. I also I asked a question on my community tab probably about a month ago about which ball you didn't match up with, and we were going to go through and I was going to make a video and show you how to adjust the ball to get used to it. If you didn't like it, I'll show you what to try, what to do with it to get it to work for you. You just explain the ball motion a little bit better, and I found out that there's a bigger lack of just general knowledge. And, I don't want to say there's ignorance out there because everybody thinks ignorance is a bad word. All ignorance means is a lack of knowledge. It doesn't mean it's also been kind of used to convey a lack of intelligence along with it. Ignorance is just a lack of knowledge. That's exactly what it means. It doesn't mean that you're incompetent, which is incapable of understanding or absorbing knowledge. So there's a lot less knowledge out there than I was expecting, and so I made some tutorial videos. So we're going to do one on just general ball reaction with surface, and then I'm going to do the VLS light, and then I'm going to do a tutorial on picking the right ball in the first place. Because it doesn't matter how good of a layout you put on it, if you pick the wrong ball in the first place, it's not going to work out. It's just like picking the wrong golf club. If you're trying to putt with a 7-iron, you could probably get it done, but it's a lot easier if you just used a putter. So yep, got plenty of some solid technical good stuff coming that I'm pretty excited about. So, how does Allroad compare to the Torrent? They're pretty similar shape-wise, actually. It's just the Torrent is earlier. The Torrent's earlier, it's stronger. There may be some overlap there. The cores are a little bit different, but there might actually be some overlap between the Torrent and the Allroad. Currently building a new arsenal. Could you give me a little idea for a 6-ball arsenal for tournaments and leagues, including the Idle Pro? Well, it was going to include the Idle Pro, whether you wanted to include the Idle Pro or not. I think like I was giving somebody a 5-ball arsenal earlier. 6-ball arsenal would probably be, and I actually prefer.
Point out that he throws 14-pound equipment.
Okay, that's going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be a little different in the same direction because I was actually talking to Tamer from Tammer Bowling earlier, and he's gone up from 15s, from 14s, and most of the Storm stuff is more dynamic in 14, or it's the RGs are higher, and so the ball gets down the lane, and they're just snappier. 14s are snappier than 15s. But currently building a new arsenal, 6-ball arsenal. I would definitely have an Idle Pro and an Idle Pearl in there. I definitely want both of those. I would want the Phase 2 also. Those are that's my main bag. Those are the first 3 balls that I pack going anywhere. But you'd also want something like a physics. So even if you just do the one ASIM, do a physics if you want 2 stronger balls up there. Halo Pearl or Astrophysics. I kind of favor the Halo Pearl more than the Astro, but the Astro is a little more user-friendly. So you might go with the 2 physics balls and then go Idle Pro, Idle Pearl, and then something like Allroad Hustle Inc. would be a pretty good 6-ball bag that would cover a bunch of stuff. I would hate leaving a Phase 2 out, but you run into the same between physics and Idle Pro and even astrophysics. You've got quite a bit of overlap there of shape more than anything. Why didn't the OG Intense get usage much? It looks super good. It was pretty good, but it was also pretty crazy down lane. So it was one of those things where it was really, really strong from right, but as soon as you started moving in, it labored a little bit to get back. It was still pretty quick on the back end, but it was kind of chuggy and tanky, and it burned a lot of its energy pretty quick. It's a really, really strong ball that didn't get a whole lot of look on house shots, particularly. It was actually really good. Tammer loves his with a bunch of surface on tough stuff. So, yeah, info on the Phase 3. We're not talking about the new balls. So, I know that they've been announced and everybody wants to know stuff, but I don't know any more than you do right now. I won't have the balls for another week or two, so can't really comment, and we have kind of deadlines that we wait for. Anyway, they like the initial information stream to come from HQ. They designed the balls. They've all thrown them already. I can kind of guesstimate or tell you what I think looking at video, but not actually having the ball and throwing it myself. I don't want to contribute to any misinformation that may be out there. And so it's a lot safer, and they really prefer us to wait until we have the balls in our hands to talk about any of that stuff anyway. So yeah, if you just go on the website, they've actually got a ball reaction video up on YouTube as well. So if you want to see the Storm guys in action, if you want to ask them some questions, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer. I just got nothing yet. So I know what you know. Hey Luke, I'm Rev Dominant. Love to move in and slow roll it. I love to do that too. Where would a Highroad Pearl fit in my arsenal of Astro, Emerald, Idle Pro, Hustle Inc? It'd go right between the Emerald and the Hustle Inc. And I really like if you like to move in and slow roll it, you'll really love the Highroad Pearl. Just get it anyway. I mean, that's an easy bump. I don't even really care where it fits. Just get it because it's gonna be good. So, oh man, El Nino exit supercharge. Yeah, the exit was good. The supercharge was good. I don't know that they can really fit in my top 10 anymore, or my top 5. The supercharge might be in the top 10. The depth charge I put at number 4. That's why I couldn't remember from 10 minutes ago. Depth charge I had famously. I think I had back-to-back 300s, or almost had back-to-back 300s in 2 different sets. I think I finished one set with a 300, and I bowled the next night and had the front 10 or 11 or something. I can't remember. And there was one time where I was so locked in with this ball at one point that I struck, and then I stoned an 8, picked it up, and I came back to the table, and I said, well, I guess I'm only shooting 280 this game, and then I shot 280. I was so locked in with that ball, and it's got a 300. It's got 1 or 2 300s on it. I don't think I had an 800 with it, but I had some outstanding. Yeah. No, that was with the Twisted Fury. That's my 799 ball.
I thought that was the depth charge because I remember sitting there watching it.
No, it was the Twisted Fury. That was when I was throwing Brunswick. I never had a. I was throwing Brunswick when I started shooting 800s. So. No, that was already. I'd already given that away, and now I got it back. My buddy gave it back to me because it was just sitting around. And he never used it. I thought it'd be really great for him, but he never got around to using
He
it.
did it after he watched your live stream
Oh yeah.
for New Year's.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I still got that bolt if you want it back.
Yeah. Are you excited for the Phase 3? Of course I'm excited for the Phase 3. I can at least answer that. I've been bugging Chad about this for a year. There's lots of stuff I've been bugging Chad about for a year, but most of it's been, please God, just put R3S Hybrid on something. And that's, I actually guessed the ball. And I'll put this in my, I'll at least say this much. That's when I put that thing on my community tab, probably a month or two ago, asking, would you want a Phase 3? Would you want something else? And that's what I was trying to tell him. I'm like, the people want a Phase 3. I want a Phase 3 most of all. But I told him, I said, well, how great would it be, Phase 3, put R3S hybrid on it, because we need a hybrid phase. We haven't had one of those. It would fit what's in the line great right now, because the strongest shiny stuff we have is the Astrophysics and the IQ Emerald. So we needed something stronger but shiny in there too. So I'm thinking bigger cover than R2S Pearl. So what more perfect than a Phase 3 with R3S hybrid and being the third domestic phase? I mean, it's too perfect. And he kind of teased me a little bit about it. He never tells me anything, which he's not supposed to tell me anything, but he never does tell me anything. But I guessed quite a few things, and I guessed this one. So just a couple days before we got the announcement, I was after him for a R3S hybrid Phase 3 last year. And so I've been talking at him for a while about stuff, and he finally gave me my wish. It just happens to fit in with the rest of the line and whatever else is going on. Yeah, I know. How about the Code line Red Black X? Code Black was probably the best one for me. I always felt like the domestic Code line, the cores were too strong for the covers. Like that Rad 4 core is crazy strong, and the R2S just isn't quite strong enough to offset it or balance it. So they rolled pretty early and pretty smooth down lane, and I kind of like that, but they weren't quite as useful for me as other stuff that got down the lane a little bit easier. They were good balls though. I really did like the Code Red for several months after it came out, and the black I like quite a bit too. The X was good, but for me it was kind of like a budget Phase 2. The Phase 2 does all the things that the Code X did. It just did them better, in my opinion. So yeah, no, Luke, you can't have my new inbox depth charge. Probably wouldn't want it. It's been curing for, that ball's 15 years old. It's been curing since 2003 or 2004 or whatever. So, yeah. Oh boy. Damn it. The Gravity Evolve, Crux Prime, and Promotion come trick-or-treating at your house. What candy do you give each one? They're all getting caramel something because they're smooth. One of them's getting a Twix. I don't know any more caramel candy. Snickers. Twix, Snickers, Milky Way, sure. We'll do that.
Nobody's going to get an Almond Joy.
Almond Joy's got nuts, but Mounds don't.
Yeah, would you like
The commercial, yeah. Have the Crux Prime, but I'm torn between the Evolve and ProMotion. I love the Idle Pro. I heard you like the ProMotion. The Idle Pro are similar. What would you recommend? I've got to go ProMotion. I think it's more usable. It's more versatile. And the Idle Pro, they're great shape complements. Great shape complements. If the Idle Pro's too boomy, step right down to the ProMotion. They're the same amount of hook, but the Idle Pro's got a lot more boom down lane, and the ProMotion's a lot smoother down lane. So if one's not working, the other's going to work. If the idle pro's taking off too much, ProMotion's going to slow it down. If the ProMotion's a little too slow, the idle pro is going to step right in and take care of it. So yeah. Let's see. I'm going to hop down to this question since we're talking about the balls. Is the ProMotion a hyped up ball because it's endorsed by Belmonte? No. I mean, it is. It's a Belmo ball, so there's always going to be a lot of controversy around it. But I think if you ask a lot of people, the ProMotion's legit. There's some of them they're going to say it's terrible just because it's a Belmo ball. And there's some of them they're going to say it's terrible even though they haven't tried it because it's both a Belmo ball and it has Speck on it. But if you ask, people who just want good ball motion, the ProMotion has got to be it's got to be in the bag somewhere. It's my 4th ball. So the Phase 2 and the Idle Pro and the Idle Pearl, the first 3 balls in the bag, anywhere I go, period. The ProMotion's the first ball in the second bag. So going to League, I don't need it, and I won't take it. But everywhere else, I think I took a couple extra balls, but I took Phase 2, Idle Pro, Idle Pearl, ProMotion, both intense fires, and then my 2 supplementals, just in case balls, were the Halo Burn and the Highroad T. Yeah. Let's see. If you were going to Junior Gold, what balls would you take? This is something I try to decide every year, so I'm wondering what you would take. So for 3 different patterns, that's the thing that makes it tricky. It's hard enough taking balls to Nationals for just 2 different patterns, and as I think that you can only have 8 at Junior Gold, if I'm right. So you have to take 2 balls for each pattern, number 1, and then you have to take 2 what-if balls. So probably you have to take urethane. Urethane has to be one that's in there. So pitch black's got to be that. For the long pattern, I'd take a physics definitely, and probably something like a Phase 2 because it's going to be they're similar, but the Phase 2's smoother and a little bit more blendy. The physics is going to be something if you need a little bit more pop. The medium condition, I would definitely take a ProMotion. I wouldn't go to anything tough without a ProMotion. Actually, even though it's the 4th ball to my house shot tournaments, the ProMotion is the first ball in the bag anywhere I'm going, anywhere tough on anything. If it's Nationals, first ball in the bag, probably going to have 2 of them in the bag. Anything tough, ProMotion's automatic first ball in the bag, so that has to be in the bag somewhere. So I'm going to say it's going to work best on the medium pattern, but ProMotion definitely has to be in there. And then Idle Pearl is actually stunningly good as well. So I would go Physics, Phase 2, ProMotion, Idle Pearl, and then for the short pattern, you're probably going to use the pitch black. But I would take something like a 2-inch Pentapap IQ Tour, something like that. That's going to be really blendy. The ProMotion, surprisingly, it worked really well at a tournament that I was at in August that was on like the last year's or this year's Women's US Open pattern that was like 37 feet long. The ProMotion blended it out and looked perfect. So that might actually even cover the short pattern. But like a 2-inch IQ Tour and then like an IQ Emerald would be good. And then your what if balls probably be one like a Hustle Inc., just in case the shape difference might work, and then take something super crazy strong, like a Halo or a Crux Prime or something, just in case you need the chug and the tank to dig into that heavy pattern in case it's extra heavy or you can't get anything to move.
Why wouldn't you take an idle?
Huh?
Why wouldn't you take an idle?
The idle it would be one of those niche balls, but it's not quite as good as a Phase 2, but you can only take 8 balls.
Oh no, I was just wondering.
And yeah, well,
Over something else.
Well, yeah, it's not good enough to take over something else. Now, if you had an extra spot in the bag, I took mine to Nationals this year because it looked so good when I was practicing with it for Nationals. For most videos I've watched with the Speck cover, it doesn't seem like it would be good for speed-dominant strokers. Your thoughts? It depends on how straight you play the lanes. If you play a little bit of bend, probably not. The Gravity Evolve is probably the best one if you're going to be speed dominant to use because it's at least got a little bit more shape down lane. The ProMotion might actually be really good if you straightened up your angles because it's not going to get down to the end of the lane and have that asim kind of jerk at the end of the lane. and it's not going to burn up at all. So the ProMotion might actually, I've heard a lot of people that play straighter that say that the ProMotion's really, really good for them. So, and actually the Crux Prime and that cover surprised me for players that play further right. For speed dominant guys, probably not so much, but the old school 60-year-old stroker guys looks great for him. So, damn it. Bowling on burning and drill up a ball for that condition. What's better to put a 1.5 inch Panda Pap on? Idle Pearl, Allroad, or Green IQ? Actually, all of those would probably be fantastic. Those are all good choices to put a shorter pin on. The Green IQ might be a little too pukey because it doesn't have a whole lot of differential to begin with. The Allroad would probably look pretty outstanding, and the Idle Pearl would probably look pretty good too. That's actually a tough decision. So you go with Idle Pearl or Allroad, you're going to be happy with either one of them. The Idle Pearl is going to be a little bit more dynamic. You'll probably want to take it to like 3,000 or 4,000, at least knock the shine off of it, but those are all good choices. Yeah, Mr. Bill, in general, don't short pin shiny pearls, and that's kind of the thing, is you'd want to, if you did one of the shiny balls, like I said, you'd want to take the shine off of it. You like the Furious? Turbine core is great. I actually never had a Furious. I wanted the Furious, but I don't think I was throwing Storm at that point. I think I saw it and I liked it, but I wasn't throwing Storm when it was out. You think it would be a good idea for Storm to acquire 900 Global? Funny thing, they already own 900 Global. They've owned them for 5 or 6 years now. They just choose to operate as independent companies for whatever reason. I would actually like it if they did a kind of a Brunswick or Ebonite thing where where everybody could just kind of use each other's stuff. But at the same time, I'm pretty happy with the lineups that we have right now, and I don't really need a third lineup to confuse matters. There's a lot of staffers from other companies that like the diversity that they have within the 3 or the 4 lines, but it's also a lot of balls to keep track of, and so it's a risk-reward type deal.
Yeah, Aaron pointed out that Storm is 51% of 900 Global.
Yeah. If you can't...
He believes.
Yeah, if you can't find something in between the ProMotion Idle Pro, yeah, you're in trouble. That's why they go with me everywhere. If you don't have a look with either one of those, that's probably not great. Difference between Idle Solid and Phase 2. There's not... It's more of a shape difference, and it's still kind of a hard shape difference to see. The Idle is earlier and smoother, is really the biggest thing. And so it doesn't handle angle as well as the Phase 2 does. So it's really good at what it's really good at. It's just the Phase 2 is more usable and it's a little bit more versatile. But I've had 2 or 3 Idles, and I really like them. Probably going to drill one left-handed. Oh, crap. All right. Yep, Idle is tons smoother. All right, down to the end of the comments. I might be able to, let's see, 25 minutes. Heavy-handed slow roller here. I asked about the Highroad Pearl. You've sold me. Should I get Speck to add to that arsenal or Idle Pearl? Oh yeah. If you like to get left and hit it, ProMotion. It's got that. It's going to have that same round motion that you like. All the other stuff that you mentioned has that really round motion where you can just hammer on it and send it right and watch it kind of arc back up through the pocket. It doesn't get down there and snap. But ProMotion all day long. Easy. Do you like to keep my angles closed if needed? Yeah. Highroad Pearl ProMotion. Definite. I think the Wild Streak will be anything like a Highroad. We're not talking about the new stuff. I don't have them yet, and they prefer me not to talk about stuff that I haven't thrown yet. Now, if you want to leave a comment on any of their videos that they have, the Schlem did a live stream with Rocio, and you can probably leave a comment on that. They'll probably have a video up or something, but I'm not going to have any of these for a couple weeks, and they kind of like the info stream coming out of headquarters to begin with because they designed the balls and they've been throwing them, so they know what they do. I don't have one yet, and so I can only speculate given what I've seen. And the stuff at HQ, it's kind of funny where they show the stuff at headquarters, and everything at HQ goes like 5 feet longer than it goes in the real world. Like Chad can get left and saw on something, and where I'm expecting it to hook, it just keeps going, and then all of a sudden it turns sideways, and I'm like, well, if I throw that ball, it's going to be reacting a lot sooner than that, if anybody throws it. So HQ's weird. Why are you going lefty? Must have missed it. Actually, I premiered a video beforehand, and it tells the entire story. So I've got a video up called "My Hilarious Shoulder Injury Story." So when you're done with the live stream here, go watch that. That'll explain everything. I think 900 Global doesn't have enough to be super good on its own. If Roto and 900 Global did things together, I'd love to see what they come up with. What do you think? Yeah, like I said, I think it'd be great to have all three companies to pick from. But Roto and Storm work out pretty well together. Schlim likes to take some. He likes to deliver knockout punches. He's a heavyweight boxer that's just waiting for the time to deliver that hard KO, and so he goes. He's like one of those chefs that you think that goes for big, bold flavors. Like he wants super defined, just absolute bombs. And so I think he gets something in his mind, and he just goes for it. And so I think that's why we see a little bit more dynamic balls out of Roto. Storm has stuff that's really, really refined. They don't take a whole ton of risks. They work within what they have that's proven, and they know that it works. And when they put out something, 100% whether it's going to be good for you, whether it's going to be bad for you, because you've got a real good familiarity with all this stuff. And I've heard staffers from other companies that say, oh, this new cover came out and it's XR73 or something. It's like, I have no idea what that means. But if Storm puts R2S on something, you know what that means. If they put Speck on something, you know what that means. If they put R3S on something or NRG on it, you know exactly what that means because you've gotten the brand familiarity with all that stuff. And that's the same thing is true with Roto to a certain extent, but Roto takes a little bit more risks. Some of them don't pay off, like Winter Solid, not really that great, but it was something different, and I like that he did that because then we get stuff like the idle line that's just we're just going to go strong, and it really worked out. Going for something like the Hustle Inc. best low end ball money can buy. So I really like when he takes risks, and sometimes it doesn't work out, but sometimes that's what happens. So, oh man, ideal ball. What core cover your own core with your own numbers? Okay, so I've sent number 1. Phase 3. Chad gave me what I wanted. That was my wish list. R3S Hybrid is one of my favorite covers, period, even though it's only been on the Intense Fire, and I do have a virtual tour exclusive that it's on too. It's on a couple other overseas balls, but it's amazing cover. I really, really like that cover, and the Phase core, I like the original Phase too. I had 2 or 3 of those. My wife has one of the 2nd gen ones. I've got my 3rd original Phase on the way. I found it from somebody on Facebook. So, yeah, R3S Hybrid and the Velocity core. It's coming out in a month and a half. So, definitely. What else? Oh, I also had another idea for the IQ Tour Fury. R3S Hybrid on the IQ core that would kind of replace and upgrade the IQ Tour Fusion. I don't know if that strong of a cover would defeat the purpose of that smoother control of the core, but I think it would be fun. He put the Nano. We got an IQ Tour Nano, but that's smooth on top of smooth. This would be a really dynamic, flippy IQ Tour, which the core and the cover might actually fight a little bit, but I like the idea on paper. Another one I sent him last year was the Intense Velocity. The Rad E core from the Intenses with NRG Solid. I think that would be outstanding. Oh, Bork. James is testing me, I feel like. What would you get as a cleaner, quicker complement bowl down to an idle Pearl? You want something cleaner and quicker than an idle Pearl? Dear God, man. Probably the MVP Pearl. I have no idea about that one yet, but initially, that sounds like that could work. Cleaner, quicker complement to the idle Pearl. VTC strikes me as a similar type cover to E-Trax. So I mean, MVP Pearl's not out yet. From what we have right now, cleaner, quicker complement, that's tough. My Highroad T actually does that, believe it or not. It is cleaner and quicker. But the Highroad Pearl is pretty round. It doesn't do that. So the color difference does make a difference between the Pearl and the T. Hustle Inc. might even be in that. Now, that's not quite a ball down. That's more like 2 or 3 balls down. But that's actually kind of tough. I can't think of anything without going overseas or outside the line or something. So, realistically, something that's in the line right now, there's probably nothing that's cleaner and quicker. Both cleaner and quicker. There's cleaner stuff and there's quicker stuff, but not both. Picked Idle Pro for my benchmark ball. I picked the right ball. Definitely. Absolutely. Great. Find the Roto Grip MVP. Wasn't a test, legit question. Okay. Interesting. Find the Roto Grip MVP works for me well with when the shot dries up, I can throw it hard and straight on the burns. ASIMs seem to do nothing for me on the back end. They burn. Yeah, they can be kind of quick. Depends on your rev rate or lack of rev rate. ASIMs are designed to tip on the back end, and sometimes, yeah, they can get to the spot, and then they kind of jerk and burn all their energy right there. Yep. Super appreciate what you do. Take your words as gospel, and you've never led me wrong. Thank you a ton. I love your content. Where can I can go to find out all the big... Where can I go to find out all the big money tournaments? Thanks for what you do. Greater Tulsa Open in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's actually starting this weekend or next weekend, something like that. I think they just got going. Greater Ozarks in Springfield, Missouri from like February to June. I think they pushed it back a little bit, so it might be like March to late June. Southwest in Wichita, Kansas starts in February. Last week of February goes until April-ish, May-ish. And then I go to nationals, and that's about all I hit in the area. And then we have some area tournaments here that are more like little sweepers. So, just got my Evolve today, and also a Hammer Extreme Phobia gravity drill tomorrow. Sweet. Wild Streak looks like the best release in a while for Roto. 260 RG is huge for the line, and I think that this is. There's been a lot of people, and I won't talk about the ball because I obviously have no idea, but I like the idea of that ball because obviously it's nothing similar. I can at least say it's not going to be similar to the Idols, but that instead of doing something that replaces the Idol, this is something that they add to the line that allows the Idols to exist in their own space. The Wild Streak can stay in its own space, and so we're not discontinuing something good like the Idol. I don't know how it's still selling for them, but you don't have to discontinue something like the Idol because the Wild Streak is not a replacement. And so it can be something different within the same line that doesn't displace any of the other balls. There's been a lot of people that are concerned about the physics, which I can tell you about the physics. It's still selling just fine. It's not going anywhere. It's not in any danger, at least imminently right now. And I think that I was also talking to Chad the other day about what's coming next in the Premier line, because there's a lot of people that notice that the physics is the oldest one on the line and it's the first one on the chopping block where something new to come out. but we need a shiny hybrid in the line next because we've had now the physics is sanded NRG hybrid. Astrophysics is R2S Pearl. It's shiny, but it's pretty weak. It's weakish for an ASIM. And then we have the Crux Prime Gravity Evolve, super strong covers, so they could even fit. If the physics were to get a solid cover, it might actually be really good with R2S because the astrophysics looked great with R2S Pearl on it. So R2S solid might make a really good solid physics that would allow the other two solids to still exist in the line. And if we did a shiny Pearl, R3S Pearl might be, or R3S Hybrid might be shiny to bring that back out. And I have no idea what he's doing with the Premier line because he keeps adding in different cores that I'm not expecting. So the symmetric stuff is a lot easier for me to predict than the asymmetric stuff. But he could go back to a completely different core. The Crux core is quite a bit different than the Shape Lock, which is quite a bit different than the physics line. He could actually do another hybrid physics, but do a different cover formula. So if we did like R3S hybrid on the physics core and made it shiny, that would still allow everything else to exist in its own space, not step on the toes of the physics because it's different cover formula, different surface. Probably not going to act the same. R3S hybrid is pretty dynamic. NRG is a lot slower, so even though the physics is kind of back-endy, it's not going to react anywhere close to the same as a hybrid R3S physics would. So I think that what he's doing right now, I would love to see an R3S hybrid physics. I think that would be outstanding. But I also think that a solid R2S physics would be pretty good. He could even do something interesting like R2X. Shiny R2X ball. So I really wish they didn't kill the Intense line. I don't think it may not be dead yet, but which is kind of funny because there's the Intense line was kind of hit and miss, and I don't know. I really like that core though. I really like how both the Intense and the Intense Fire seem to gain energy when they turn. They get down there and they start slowing down to make the turn, and then they just zip. So I really like both the Intenses, and I don't think it's done yet. I think it's just with the Premier line, since they rotate them in faster, they're trying to provide more variety, and so I think they might actually come back to it. Like with the phases, they put out the phase, and then they had the phase 2. The phase wasn't super well received because it was kind of different, and then the phase 2, and then it almost got discontinued before everybody realized how great of a tournament ball it was, and then it's been out for like 3 years now. And now they're finally continuing that line. So they might play through some of this other stuff and then bring out another Intense, and so that could be even a totally different thing. We still could get a solid Intense because we haven't had one of those. I don't know what else they could bring back. I would love to see him do a Prodigy reboot, but it's either got to be. We're definitely getting more physics balls, I can tell you that for certain, because they didn't spend that much time on developing that core and have it be such a great core for them to just use it on 3 balls and then we're done. They might actually bring back the code line because we kind of had a few of those and those have petered out, but now that we have the resurgence of the Shape Lock and the Crux and whatever else, it might be a great time to bring a kind of a super beast. Well, I had another idea for a code. I think I was telling... Who was I telling about this? It wasn't the Code Extreme. It was something like Code Extreme. But it was a Code Critical. Uh-oh. Ernesto with the $10 for 10-minute warning. Yep. Man, I can only talk for 10 more minutes? That might be difficult. But no, my latest idea was for a Code Critical. So we need a shiny hybrid. That could be great if you put a beefy shiny cover on it. Maybe even R4S hybrid. But an R3S hybrid code would fit in there perfect. Code Critical, make it flashy. Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. So yeah. Yeah, bring back the X Factor series. I really wanted him to do 3 of them because they had like 8 X Factors. They had a ton of them. We had the X Factor, the X Factor Deuce. We had the triple X Factor. We had the X Factor Triple Extreme. We had the Trifecta. We had the Fear Factor. We had the whatever else. X Factor Reloaded. So we had 7 of them anyway. So they had a lot of X Factors, and I wanted to see him do, because they use Reactor on some of those, I'm pretty sure, but I would love to see him do a tribute to the Rad cores. So have 3 different Rad cores and put 3 different covers on them. And just update the stuff. The X Factor Deuce could be great with actually with Speck on it. The X Factor Deuce with Speck on it, and like the Rad E core, I think that'd go really well together. Thanks again, Ernesto, as always. I think the Rad X core is done, and that might be another. They might do another lock. That's the thing, is they got so much of this stuff in the bank, and they have so many of these Premier lines that they're taking overseas. The lock line was pretty popular with the Sherlock being a thing. The original lock was the hybrid there, but it was sanded. They could do an R3S hybrid lock. That would be great too. He's got so many different things he could do in that line, and that's what makes it harder for me to predict. So I don't think the Rad X core is done, because they're still doing tons of locks overseas. They're still doing virtuals overseas. They're doing locks. They're doing codes. They're doing all kinds of things. They've had a couple overseas physics now. So let's see. Yeah, the Intense line, we always joke, throw it anywhere and it'll strike. Yeah, I love the Intenses. I love all the Intenses. So, yeah, Highroad Pearl, throw a quicker layout on it. You'd have to be an awful quick layout. Yeah, and that's going back to this, James. Still kind of slow and round. Yeah, the Highroad T. Did we go to sleep here or what? My TV went to sleep. Maybe it's trying to tell me something. Bingo, bango, bongo. Did it go to sleep? I have no idea what happened to my TV. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty slow and round. What happened to my TV here? Try this again. Yeah, so Highroad Pearl is the best chance for that, but yeah, it's going to be really slow, and it's going to be quite a bit, or it's really, really round, basically. That's currently roll a no rules solid. How much stronger will the gravity be? I imagine pretty close, but never rolled a Speck rock. It actually kind of is similar to the no rule solid. It's going to be stronger, but they do have that same kind of angular look on the lanes. I have no idea what happened to my TV just gave up the ghost. That neutron physics, yeah, snap lock. Any similarities between the Halo Vision and physics in terms of shape? Yeah, there's a bunch of... Halo Vision's really, really close to the physics. The Halo Vision just a little bit straighter off the end of the pattern, and it's a little stronger. But yeah, there's tons of similarity with shape there. Spec cover only be for the Premier line. Yeah, the cover sees works in other line. It's already on the Pro Motion, which is in the Signature line, which is, I mean, the same price, I think. Yeah, they'll probably just use it on the higher lines. It'll probably dip down to Master here sooner or later. We haven't had a solid Sonic. It might actually go okay on that core. But with it being such a new cover, it won't go lower than the Master line for several years, I wouldn't imagine. Wish they'd bring back Second Dimension. Yeah, there's a lot of people that like that and be happy if they had a third dimension. Yeah, Wes Edwards. What's up, buddy? I suggested a Storm Ball on our Pete Weber called the Storm I Am. Yep, definitely. Highroad Speck Solid. I thought everybody keeps talking about Highroad Speck Solid. It's not a thing. It's not gonna. It's not gonna happen, or it might not. It may happen, but it's gonna be several years before it happens. I think it was NRG Solid had been out for 5 or 6 years before they put it on a Highroad. So, yep. All right. Well, we're finally extending the screen to the TV. Is that a thing that we're doing? I don't even know what this TV is doing now. It's probably just timed out or something. Yeah, and I forgot what I was saying. Okay, so I don't know why that paused. Okay. So we've got a couple minutes left. How to build your own ball feature, choose from all the cores and cover. Yeah, they might actually, every once in a while they've asked, if you could build a ball, what would you build? Luckily enough, Chad lets me talk to him, so I've sent him several ideas. I think he's taken a couple of my concepts. Now I figured that I don't think it's because I necessarily said something about him. It's probably something he was already thinking about, and it might have just kind of confirmed. It's like, oh yeah, well maybe this is a good idea. And it's just stuff that makes sense. And so I think that whether I come up with the idea or he comes up with the idea, it's easy to look at what we've got and kind of arrive at that same conclusion. And with how readable and predictable all the, how familiar all of the Storm elements are, it makes it really easy to kind of play Mr. Potato Head and come up with something that's kind of a different look. So, yeah. Bottom line, must have phase 2 and intense fire. Yeah. I'm going to have to baby my intense fires or find several more of those. Those are quite good. Phase 3 may scratch that itch, though. We'll find out. So, all right. I think I was going to keep this to 2 hours. I didn't have an agenda to talk about. I do have some things to talk about, but I'll save that for another time. And I've got plenty of videos coming out that's going to talk about some of the stuff I want to talk about anyway. So thanks everybody for watching. I've got some more 1-minute reviews coming out. I'm going to try to change that format up just a little bit so I'm not like spamming 1-minute reviews all over the place, but there's a lot of great channels to go check out. So I've got a few more of those. I got some technical videos coming. I'm going to be pretty busy the next couple months. Like I said, the new Roto videos will be out November 8th, and the Phase 3 video will be out November 22nd. But we have the new balls. You can't see it on the heckin' screen anymore, but Gravity Evolve and Allroad have officially released yesterday, so you definitely want to go check those out or take a look at those before you start thinking about stuff you can't even buy yet. The new Roto Grip stuff is going to be a Black Friday thing, so that's a month off, and then the Phase 3 is December 13th, so that's still a month and a half off. Don't worry about those too much right now. I won't even have videos up for another month on the Phase 3, and the other ones are going to be a couple weeks. So just think about those. Focus on the stuff that you can actually go out and buy right now, and we'll cross the other bridge when we come to it, and that'll be just as fun. So thanks everybody for hanging out. I will have a video or two go up tomorrow. If you didn't see the premiere before the stream, go check out my story about why I'm switching hands. It tells kind of the whole injury story and whatever else and what I've been kind of dealing with. Where do you buy the overseas balls? Storm Roto Grip bowling balls for sale. So go on to SRGBBFS. It's a Facebook group on Facebook. The Facebook group would be on Facebook. And Nick Brown that runs the group does a whole bunch of drawings. He's also a source. He gets overseas stuff, so you can buy stuff from him. So definitely go sign up for it. It's a free group to get into. You just got to answer a little questionnaire and I'll let you in. So SRGBBFS. I got myself a phase. I've got several. I've got quite a few overseas balls sitting up there. I think most of them I got from Tawny. Thanks, Tawny. But anyway, I am out. It's 9 o'clock. I've rambled long enough. And so, yeah, lots of good things coming. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you later.